world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen.
Then with a crash came a great ringing shout, Ra, Oom, Ra.
3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie.
Talking about Tolkien, Ben.
Just talking about Tolkien.
Breaking news. We finally won the fight against Medicaid. We got it. Can't wait to see how much less money is going to be taken out of my paycheck. I'm sure it's got to be a lot, right? Because the government's spending a lot less money on it. So, like, I get my tax cut, right? That's how that works.
I try to keep the Tolkien episodes like evergreen content.
This is evergreen content. Come back in 40 years.
I sincerely hope not. I sincerely hope this is just a quaint memory of the past one day.
So it is chapter 6 of The Two Towers, the King of the Golden Hall.
Yes.
We're riding, and Gandalf does that thing in D&D, like he's the DM, but like he's a player character, or like he's a DM-controlled character that's friendly to the party, and is like, all right, guys, now remember, you don't want to draw weapons in this guy's court, or like insult his mom or anything. Like, we're all agreed that you guys need to behave, right?
To be fair, Gandalf is kind of that.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, like he was sent back here. He was sent here initially by archangels, and now he's been sent back by God himself. And
was it really?
The going, I don't know if it's ever confirmed anywhere, but the going theory is that it was Eru. That Gandalf actually may have passed. I don't know if he passed out of like Arda into like the world, like, or like the reality where God is, but it is believed God.
It is all Greek to me when you say that. He's out of Arda, which is out of this. Like, I need a Venn diagram. What is Arda and Middle Earth and whatever the planet that they're on? And
Arda, I believe,
it's the Noldor all over again.
I believe Arda refers to like this material plane, the universe and everything in it.
Okay.
The world of like matter and such.
Do the other lesser gods / angels reside in Arda, or are they outside of Arda?
Valinor is a part of Arda. So and we'll talk about this when we get to the Silmarillion, but I'll give you a little preview since you asked. The gods sing the song of creation, basically. They sing all of time and space, everything that's going to happen, the grand narrative of existence. And after they're done singing, Eru reveals that he has made it real. He has created a reality where these things actually exist. And some of them opt to go into it. And they are told, if you go in, you're there for the duration.
How long could it be?
Well, he does say that in time, even the gods will come to envy the gift of men. So
when we die, we get to take off our VR headsets and leave Arda.
Yeah, we don't. Nobody knows where we go, but we get to leave.
Okay, and so some of them still exist outside of Arda.
Yes,
but they have no further.
They do not
impact on the plot.
Yeah, they do not interfere in the world. Only Eru can. And I believe Tolkien says at no point, he says in his letters, because I remember this deflated my theory of who Tom Bombadil might be. I thought Tom Bombadil might be Eru once upon a time. And in the letters, he says that Eru, at least at this point, had never entered into the world.
Yeah, because Jesus didn't exist yet.
I think that's the implication, is that
Oh, okay.
Jesus would be.
I'm glad I was here to enlighten our audience members.
Yeah. No, I honestly do. I think that's the implication. He was trying to create something where, like, you could have all the fun pagan stuff, but Catholicism was not invalidated.
You can have the fun pagan stuff, but when it comes time to like, what church are you going to go to, and like, who are you going to worship?
Well, there's still a one true God. He still sent his son to die for our sins. That all still happens.
Yeah.
The important stuff. And, the Old Testament, it's an allegory. I don't like allegory. So
Well, I'm glad that the Old Testament was an allegory because, God does some pretty mean shit.
that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. It's like,
Maybe
I'm
for our
sorry
patrons
for
one day.
existing, God. I didn't ask to be born, but now that I am, can you please stop punching my buildings and banishing me from creation?
Nope. Short answer, I do what I want. And because I did it, it's the right thing.
Does come off like a parent that way.
We'll look, that literally, maybe for the Patreon, we'll talk about that. If anybody's listening, if anybody comments, if you guys want that on the Patreon, I'm more than willing to do at least Genesis.
Benning about the Bible.
Babbling about Bibles. So I'm going to read to you an unrelated text. I'm going to read just a passage from an unrelated text, and you tell me if it strikes you as like in any way similar to anything in this chapter. It occurred to him then to command a mighty mead hall to be built, richer and rarer than the race of men had ever seen on earth before, and in that stately hall to distribute the gifts God had given him, except for public land and people's lives. They tell us he assigned the task of building that marvelous mead hall to many races from around the earth. It rose quickly, soaring to the clouds, and soon it was finished. Noblest of buildings. He named it Heorot, he whose word and will had wide dominion.
Yeah, and then he planted some trees out there that only grow in graves, and you got 500 years of Rohan.
I'm obviously talking about King Theoden's Golden Hall, Meduseld.
Oh, is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a break on this. There's a lot of Old English in the Rohan stuff. I actually think the language of Rohan is Old English.
Rohanese?
I think it would be Rohirric, but
I like mine better.
I think they just straight up speak Old English. And Meduseld,
God, how fucking annoying would that be?
Meduseld means mead hall in Old English. That's actually the word that's used in Beowulf a couple of times.
Sure. When Tolkien does it, it's cool and like, well, why did he do it like this? Oh, look at all the stuff that he tapped into. When I do it, it's just lazy.
What have you tapped into, Nate?
I tapped into the ability to Google Translate something literally into another language and then go like, that sounds cool. Let's make that the name of it.
Yeah, okay. I think
but I'm a shitty writer, Ben.
I think you're a shitty translator, that's for sure. I think Tolkien put just a smidge more thought into it. Maybe a brief summary of the first part of Beowulf. I'm just gonna. It's not exactly the same as what happens for Theoden, but it's similar. So tell me if any of this sounds like vaguely familiar. There's an old king, and the old king has a problem. There's a monster he can't defeat who is ravaging his kingdom, and try as they might, all the heroes of the realm have not been able to throw the monster back. And so it's all sort of becoming hopeless. But then a young warrior shows up and offers him help with his problem. The young warrior first arrives at the gate and is sassed a little bit. In Beowulf, first he arrives on the beach and he's sassed a little bit. And then he arrives at the gate and he's sassed a little bit. But he's eventually invited in and received in the hall. Now in Beowulf...
And is he sassed a little bit again?
Yes, but not by the king.
Oh, okay.
There is another guy who is... Now, this is actually an interesting opposite. Asshole turned good guy, kind of.
Interesting.
He's initially saying that Beowulf can't do what he says he's going to do, and there's no way that this guy's going to be able to do it. This guy's a joke. He's full of crap. He's a liar. He's whatever.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
And then Beowulf gives a...
My name is Beowulf.
Well, Beowulf actually gives a pretty eloquent response that basically invalidates this guy's entire existence. And then
he drops a sick beat on this guy.
It is a poem, so
oh god.
But it's in alliterative verse, not rhyming, so it might not. I don't know how it would come off if you put a beat under it. We'll have to find somebody who's better at the meter than I am. But yeah, he rebukes him, and I think he tells him he's going to burn in hell or something.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it turns out that this guy has committed the ultimate sin, which is kinslaying.
Oh, I was going to say sex before marriage, but okay.
No, everybody does that. And that's only a sin if you're a woman.
Yeah, okay, that checks out. She tempted me into doing it. I couldn't believe the power she had over me.
That's kind of... Oh, and when the warriors are invited in, they, of course, have to leave their weapons outside. And they have to make a point of telling some guy, you better make sure those are still there when I get back.
And they secretly have a palm pistol hidden away up their sleeve.
They don't. They don't bring in a secret weapon because in this one, the king is friendly to them. But in some ways, it's kind of like Beowulf fan fiction, Lord of the Rings. Like, at least the Rohan part, because this is like almost a scene out of Beowulf, except the bad guy's worse and the good guys are better.
Yeah.
And, it's a little bit more exciting, I think, than Beowulf. At least that's what
I mean,
Amy from Unsighted would think.
Now I kind of want, like, we need Aragorn to drop a sick beat while Gandalf ruins Wormtongue's entire existence.
There is no Gandalf figure in Beowulf.
Yeah, his name is Odin.
Well, no.
He hasn't come over to ravage their island yet.
There's... there's no real...
Because that's like Anglo-Saxon, right?
It is, but it was
not...
But
is that pre-Britannia?
So I have no idea when the original story of Beowulf was composed. I think the text we have, which I don't think is the original. I don't know if there's any way you could know that.
Probably because they didn't have written word.
I think the text was written around 800, 900 AD.
I mean, the story takes place in Denmark.
The story takes place...
written down finally in England, it sounds like. So I'm going to guess it was probably composed like long before they came over to England, right?
I would guess that it's an oral tradition. there's a lot of references that make it seem like it's an oral tradition, but this is one of those things where like you can never really know for sure. And one of the problems they have even with like the old English is, to what extent is this the way people normally spoke, or is the composer of the manuscript purposely making it sound archaic? Because people do that with old stuff when they translate or when they write it down for the first time. If it sounds old timey to them, they try to make it sound old timey. Um, there's a lot of unknowns about
Yeah,
Beowulf.
it looks like, I mean, just it's so long ago and there wasn't a written record. It looks like most historians, and by most historians I mean Wikipedia, the best source for any historical accuracy, is the Anglo-Saxon settling started around 4. I like how specific it is. 410. Like, why 410? Why not just say the 3rd century? Whatever. Anyway, I guess it wouldn't. I'm getting 5th century, but yeah. But during that time, during the settlement, which occurred over the course of several hundred years, is when they think Beowulf was being.
So I guess maybe this is a preview for a Beowulf episode because I don't want to be here all day. But
Yeah, you do.
the
You got nothing better to do.
so from what I know of the manuscript we have that actually survived, I believe it sat basically completely unregarded. There's actually a hint that maybe some of it was copied by a guy who did not speak Old English anymore. Because just the mistakes seem to indicate
shit.
he's just copying what he sees and doesn't really understand it. And it sat in this monastery, totally ignored. Probably no one in the monastery could read it. And it eventually was
But
taken.
they just kept it around because they had no idea what the fuck it was.
Yeah. And it was eventually taken when Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries and took possession of their library.
Hell yeah.
It ended up in the hand of a collector. Eventually, that collection went to the British Museum, and it wasn't until 1815 that they published the text. And it wasn't till I think like somewhere like 1830s that they translated that into modern English for anyone. And so Beowulf scholarship is like relatively young compared to
And then for
the
some
sagas.
reason I had to read it in high school? What?
And
what a weird book to include.
And Tolkien, well, it's a really interesting one. Tolkien translated Beowulf. He's super influenced by Beowulf. He's kind of obsessed with Beowulf. And
Yeah,
Old
he wrote an
English.
entire country in his lore. That's just Beowulf, apparently.
Tolkien, in some of his drafts, just straight up takes notes in Old English. I think Old English was maybe like a favorite of the old languages he taught, like more so than Old Norse. And
did they actually speak it, or was it like how you teach Latin, where you just learn the writing? And
it can be spoken, but
it sounds horrible and it hurts your ears. So
it actually, so the way you speak it, you have to do reconstructed pronunciation. The way they reconstruct pronunciation is there's theory in linguistics that sounds reliably mutate a certain way. So like the th at an end to pluralize a verb, like goeth becomes goes. The th always becomes an s. It doesn't become anything else. So you can kind of like see where the mutations are, and you can kind of reconstruct.
Do they know why? I think we're going down a rabbit hole.
We're going down a rabbit hole.
Questions.
So
anyway, back to Rohan.
Yeah.
Or Beowulf, one of those two.
Maybe we should just, I don't know, maybe we should hard cut off. But I guess that's the thing. He's borrowing a lot from Beowulf. He's obsessed with it. There's a lot there. It's an easy thing to go down rabbit holes on. The reason you were probably taught Beowulf, the reason it's probably included in all these like literary canons is because we don't have a lot of samples. We don't have any samples of anything like Beowulf in Old English. This is kind of the only heroic poem. Old Norse, tons of them. The people of Iceland preserved tons of sagas, tons of myths, relative. And so there's a lot of examples of that, but like Beowulf is kind of unique in its genre. There's nothing to compare it to because you can kind of like see with Norse sagas if something was like a common trope of the genre of storytelling of the heroic saga. But with Beowulf, there's nothing to compare it to. You have no idea what's just a quirk of the author and what is common to the time. So it's such a rare text, and it's unlike a lot of the texts from that time. It's kind of interesting. Like you can read some old poems. A lot of them are short. You can read, lots of church doctrine, stuff like that. There's plenty of Old English text, but Beowulf is kind of the oldest thing that you might have any interest in reading. Whereas Old Norse, it's kind of like it's nothing but comic books. Beowulf's kind of the only comic booky one, where a big guy beats up monsters. I guess they think maybe there's some kid in the audience who's going to get like way too into it. And, Loki shells out like $400 to take an Old Norse course. But yeah, Rohan.
Yeah, Rohan.
So they arrive at Theoden's hall.
So they arrive at Theoden's hall, and there are flowers that only grow in the graves or on the graves, and they talk about how many.
Weirdly, one of the only things about this that they kept for the movies.
Yeah, that is weird.
There's a scene where he's like, Everett,
and they needed someone who's like, I won't let this country that has existed for 30 generations be torn in two. It needs to be delivered by the Palpatine guy, the actor. But yeah, that's all I was thinking of, because 500 years of Rohan. Anyway, they all talk in their own tongue, which I find offensive and hurts me. They should all.
It's Old English, so Aragorn probably got a couple of words here and there. Oh no, he actually speaks it. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he says he speaks it, but he's like, "Come on, guys, really?"
Well, Gandalf says
gross.
Gandalf says it's. Why would you ask a visitor in your own tongue what their business is?
Yeah. Because this is America, Gandalf. If you don't speak the language, I think you should go home.
Yeah, that's kind of what they tell him. Yeah, if you aren't from Rohan, we kind of aren't opening the gate.
Yeah, but he's trying to convince the guy, and he's like, "Well, Wormtongue says no strangers should come in," and Gandalf is like, "Well, I haven't come to see Wormtongue. I'm here to talk to the king."
Burn.
Yeah, his name is Hama, or you're going to tell me it's something weird like Hama, and it's going to hurt my ears. It is Hama.
It's Hama.
Okay. All right. So yeah, he goes to get word from the king. He comes back. He's like, "All right, you can come in. But you gotta put your weapons down." And so Legolas is like, "All right, put my weapons down." But they were forged by the Lady of the Forest, Galadriel. So, don't touch it. And the guy's like, "Yeah, no one's going to touch your weird elf witch weapons."
No one's going to touch your weird cursed bow.
Yeah, no, none of us want none of that. And then Aragorn is like, "Okay, well, I don't want to give up my sword because my sword is the sword of kings. it was broken and now it's reforged and like it's even cooler. And they're like, well, yeah, but also like, no, you need to give those up. It's the king's rules. Like, it's his house. He gets to make the rules. You're the guest. You have to follow the rules. He's like, I would, but like, I'm the king. I got the king's sword. I don't want to part with that. And then, interesting, is Gimli getting more characterization, or is that just me? Because he's getting a lot of like, hey, don't worry, I got your back. I'll fucking murder our way out of Rohan or into the palace if we need to. Because the guy's like, look, if you don't leave your sword here, you're going to have to like, and you try and go in there, you're going to have to fight everyone all by yourself. And Gimli's like, not by himself. He pulls out his axe. It's like, Gandalf's
and he looks at him
what
as
did
if
I just say?
he looks at him as if he were a young tree that Gimli had a mind to fell. I think Gimli. Well, first off, he's defending Galadriel's honor. He's really smitten.
Yeah.
I think Gimli's married too, so that's.
Oh,
and
that
Galadriel's married. They're both married. So,
yeah, that's what makes it so hot.
I guess. It's
Although
it's a courtly love kind of thing.
I think this is part of the reason why the dwarves are going to die out, Ben. Like, Gimli only has eyes for Galadriel, and she's going over the ocean, and so, like...
He goes over the ocean.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Him and Legolas.
That's some bullshit. Why does he get to go over the ocean? He wasn't a ring bearer.
I genuinely don't know how he gets to go. Because theoretically,
was it a thing where like Legolas wore a big old trench coat and like stood on Gimli's shoulders and was like, "Shh, quiet, shh, don't say anything. They won't notice. They'll just think I'm a little taller now."
We'll have to look at the appendices when we get there. 'Cause I'm trying to remember. I don't remember why. Honestly, I don't remember why Frodo and Sam get to go. I guess because they had
They're ring bearers.
Yeah, but they're still really not supposed to go. And especially
but they're
Sam.
ring bearers.
Sam's not even that tortured by it.
Yeah, but he was a ring bearer, Ben.
But they do mention Gimli is the only dwarf ever that goes to Valinor.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Not even the dwarf ring bearers get to go? What few of them there are?
Lesser rings don't count.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. This is exactly why the men became Nazgul. You're like, oh, those are lesser rings. Well, maybe you should have just given us a few rings too while you were at it, you dick.
They did give you rings. They give you 9. Well, sorry.
Bullshit. He gave us 9 bullshit rings.
He did give us 9 bullshit rings. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aragorn's
God, the elves really suck. God.
Aragorn's laying
lesser
it on
rings don't count. Bullshit.
Okay, the elves aren't in charge of Valinor. First off,
I feel like that's a very elvish thing. Like, this is where the elves must have got it from somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
the elves only go. The elves are really only allowed to go because men are supposed to inherit the earth, and if the elves stay, they will fade into nothing, basically.
Oh, boo-hoo. Cry me a river. You got like thousands and thousands of years. Maybe you should fade into nothing. You know? Maybe that one's on you. But then what? The dwarves just get shit on? What the hell?
I think the dwarves just die out.
That's just... Man. Bullshit.
I don't know. Maybe there's still a dwarf kingdom out there. Let's go to Reykjavik and see if we can find them.
Bullshit.
Words about books.
So yeah, maybe...
Buy from Reykjavik.
Maybe Gimli is going to try and get some then. Because he's the only one that gets to go. Alright. Good to know. Anyway, Aragorn does eventually give up his sword, and he's like, alright, I'm going to put the sword right over there. No one's touching it. If I come out, that sword is gone. Everybody dies. Anyone who touches it that isn't me, dead.
He does say that. Death shall come to any man that draws Elendil's sword, save Elendil's heir.
Yeah, I think that, I don't think that's like a curse situation. Like, oh, if you draw it, you're dead.
No, I think that's I'm going to beat you to death.
Yeah, I am going to. I am going to bring violence to you. And then Gandalf is like, "All right, here's Glamdring, but I need the staff to support myself. I'm old." And the guy's like, "Well, I mean, Wormtongue did say, gotta take your staff."
If Wormtongue told you to jump off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge?
And he's like, that's a good point. You know what? I'm going to trust my guts, my instinct that says, you mean no harm. And also, it'll be really funny if you had your staff and were in the same room as Wormtongue.
So I'm going to go off in a few minutes on this is where I stop. If you thought I liked the movies at all, wait until we get to what happens in Rohan. But
yeah, Theoden is kind of like a huge douche canoe for the rest of his existence in the movies.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
okay, let's talk about a petty thing that bothers me. Okay. So, you know how we've made a point of Peter Jackson moving lines around?
Yeah.
So one of the lines they give to Legolas in the movie is actually from the gatekeepers of Rohan. Legolas, when he sees Shadowfax, says, "He is one of the Meiras, unless my eyes be cheated by some spell." Which is exactly what the guards say. He is one of the Meiras, unless our eyes are cheated by some spell. The Meiras, as we have discussed, is Shadowfax is of that breed.
Yeah.
The ancient line of horses. He's a very important horse. Why would
Legolas know anything about horses?
Why would he know anything about Rohan's sacred line of stud horses?
Because, Ben, in the movies, none of that is even explained, so it just makes Legolas seem like deep and knowledgeable.
Yeah, it does.
But we don't know what the hell he's talking about.
So that's my petty gripe. That's a dumb line to give to Legolas. They just needed to be like, wow, Shadowfax is really cool.
Yeah. So now Gandalf.
Everything else I hate. So we're going to talk about it. There's really significant changes made to everything about Rohan.
Like how Theoden has a daughter? It's not his daughter.
He doesn't have a daughter.
Doesn't he in the movie, though?
No, that's still his niece.
Oh, okay. No, I just wasn't paying attention. All right. So, yeah, so they enter the hall. Or you want to do this? You want to do this?
Okay. They enter the hall. They enter the hall, and
I'm filled with anticipation, Ben.
I'm still thinking about the movie. I don't know how I want to talk about it. But okay. They enter the hall. It's an incredibly beautiful hall. They spend a lot of time talking about how it's paved with stones, which is rare. Most mead halls will probably just have a dirt floor. Like, there's a lot of expense here. There's a lot of Theoden sitting at the head of the dais, and he appears to be a man so bent with age that he seems almost a dwarf. He has long
he's not going to get to go across the sea.
No, he's not going to get to go across the sea. He's not going to make it to the end of this series. So he's wearing a circlet. His hair is in long braids, but he's still sharp. Behind his eyes burned bright.
So you mean he's not like a feeble old man who's like both completely physically broken down and like senile as well?
Yeah. He's not he's not
straight from the nursing home.
And Gandalf talks to him. He says, "Hey, Theoden, I have returned. Behold, the storm comes, and now all friends should gather together, lest each singly be destroyed." And Theoden arises and speaks for himself and says, "I greet you, and maybe you look for welcome, but truth to tell, your welcome is doubtful here, Master Gandalf." And they kind of blame Gandalf for all the troubles of Rohan. They kind of imply that he might be a vulture. They name him Gandalf Stormcrow.
Yeah, I saw
Crows and
that.
crows and ravens being carrion birds that come to pick the corpses after a battle.
First of all, if you're gonna address him like that, you call him Mr. Stormcrow. Be polite.
So he calls Gandalf out, says basically, "I don't want you here. Why are you here?" And he sits back down. And then a pale man sitting on the steps of the dais. Now this is interesting.
I like
So
how he just starts repeating shit. Like Theoden is
at
like, "I don't want you here," and then Wormtongue's like, "Yeah, he doesn't want you here."
at Theoden's feet, upon the steps, sat a wizened figure of a man with a pale, wise face and heavy-lidded eyes. "You speak justly, lord," said the pale man. "It is not yet 5 days since the bitter tidings that came that Theodred your son was slain upon the west marches. In Eomer there is little trust." And yeah, he goes on and goes on, and then he does the line from the movie, "Ill news is an ill guest, they say." He laughed. He implies some interesting things. Now, in the movie, let's talk about what's happening and why this is different. Because this is one of the biggest things I have seen people get wrong. And we talked a little bit in the Discord about how if you're going to adapt these books, you need to make changes to speed them up to try to figure out what
Absolutely not. You put Tom Bombadil right back in there. I want at least 45 minutes of Bombadil.
you need to figure out what you're gonna cut, what you're gonna do. Now, here's the challenge. Tolkien was uncompromising in the way he writes these books.
Yeah, 6-movie trilogy, one for each of the half books.
The Silmarillion, in Tolkien's mind, exists and chronologically comes first. The Silmarillion is almost entirely, with the exception of like one family, focused on elves. There are some humans, I guess, Baron, Huron,
What a coincidence, Ben.
Tuor.
We get left out again.
Well, it's just a story about elves written by elves.
Yeah. Why
Lord
isn't
of
it
the
a story about
Rings-
humans written by elves?
Lord of the Rings is the story about humans. This is our great saga.
Well, tell that to Peter Jackson, because there were elves that joined Helm's Deep, Ben.
So Peter Jackson has a different problem. He's adapting Lord of the Rings. Christopher Tolkien will not, and to this day, I do not believe, has not sold the film rights to the Silmarillion. He thought that was a mistake his father made because his father needed money, and he never wanted to see a movie of these books, and he was not
Thank
going
God
to sell.
we got Ready Player 2, so we have an adaptation of part of the Silmarillion, Ben.
Well, I would say Rings of Power is probably the adaptation of part of the Silmarillion, but they can't use the Silmarillion. They can only use the appendices of Lord of the Rings, with a few allowances by the Tolkien estate. They use some names and stuff from the Silmarillion, but
I like how Gandalf gets his name. Haven't you always wanted to know how he got his name?
I know how he got his name. Like,
How did he get his name, Ben?
his name is almost always like Gray Man or Graybeard, or it's not like a big deal. His name just means stuff in the languages that the people call him stuff in.
Well, also, he is the only wizard. Like, though he's a singular man walking around. So Gandalf solo.
Also, we know that Gandalf comes from the list of dwarves in the Poetic Edda.
Yeah.
This is this is the first challenge Peter Jackson has. He wants to adapt the full, majesty of Middle Earth with the elves and the dwarves and this big world, but the elves don't do a whole lot in this one.
Yeah.
So
Fuck them. Am I right?
well, and it's kind of like the elves don't do a whole lot in the sagas or the Eddas either. Elves and dwarves
number
are
one.
kind of there in the background, but they're closer to the gods. They hang out with the gods. They make stuff for the gods, but they don't.
Ben. Let's be clear. They hang out with and are closer to the lesser gods. Capital G God, that's my man. I know where I'm going when I die. I actually don't, but presumably,
you know what? Not here, and that's good
not
enough.
Here, yeah.
So the elves don't do a whole lot. So you've got Theoden, who basically right now Tolkien separated these into 6 books. And this is book 3. And book 3 is the story of Rohan. It is the fall of Isengard. It is this particular battlefield in this particular part of the world. And it, to borrow your favorite phrase, it's about the age of man.
Age of Man.
It's about the humans coming into their own and founding these great kingdoms and finally defeating the Dark Lord and throwing off the last vestiges of that dark age and moving on to the next thing. And all of the Beowulf stuff gets wrapped up in Rohan. And this is something that would have been very important to Tolkien. And it has to get, I don't know if it has to, but it gets really handicapped in the movie. And I think part of the reason it gets handicapped is because I don't think Peter Jackson is super interested in or knows a lot about that medieval warfare or that warrior culture or any of that. I don't think he gets it. I don't think he cares. I think it's just like an action.
Yeah, because he's a nerd.
But you can tell it's not his priority. He doesn't understand what Tolkien's doing here, and he doesn't think it's important. And so in his adaptations, which have become like the defining version of the story for a lot of people, it's not important. And I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. And I think that terrible anime movie they made.
There's a terrible anime movie?
Yeah, War of the Rohirrim.
That's an anime movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think that helped either. I don't think that gets it either. So in the movies, Theoden is possessed by Saruman.
Yeah.
And
through Wormtongue. It's explicit because when he drives it out, it pans back to Saruman back in his tower.
Yeah.
And Gandalf casts him out.
He literally hits Theoden on the head and Saruman goes flying. And somehow Wormtongue enabled Saruman to cast a possession spell. This isn't a thing wizards can do.
Yeah, why would you need Wormtongue if you could just possess him?
I guess the logic is that somehow Wormtongue is aiding in the possession. I don't think that many people really think about it. And I've even read at least one comment where somebody was like, I really like in the movie how they made it much more explicit that Saruman was possessing Theoden. And I was like, no, he
It
was
wasn't in the book.
No.
That's why it wasn't explicit in the book. It's because it didn't happen.
And that, if you wanted to do it, if you're just going to make shit up, what I would have made up is Saruman forged a ring, right? Give Theoden a lesser ring and have him do a mini Sauron.
Yeah, you got your 9 Black Riders. I got an old man.
Well, there's an established way. There's an established way in universe to take over somebody's mind and dominate their will.
The only problem with that is it makes Saruman too competent at ring making.
Well, but that's the thing, though. The whole reason Saruman's possessing him in the movie is to make him seem like more of a threat. Because Saruman's
Saruman gets a lot more in the movie, because in the book he's a loser.
He's delusional.
Big loser. He's a complete tool. He's like, don't worry, I've got my fabulous cloak. I forged my own ring. And one of the Nazgul says something to him. He's like, yeah, if I had the One Ring, I would be giving you orders right now. Away with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, invading Gondor. Yeah, that's nice. You know what I'm all about? I'm all about invading Rohan, buddy.
So that's what happens in the movie. In the book, it's a lot more subtle. Wormtongue is actually just sort of breaking down Theoden's spirit. He's Theoden's chief advisor, and he's given him really bad advice.
Yeah.
Basically, he's saying, we're screwed. Military analysis. We cannot fight off Saruman.
But you know what would help?
Sauron.
A tax credit for your nobles. Have you thought about that?
We can't fight now. And again, in the movie, he's like, Saruman has ever been our friend and ally. But in the book,
it's super obvious that Saruman is not our
Saruman
friend.
Is just literally murdered your son. Orcs with his signature on it. Like, Saruman puts his hand on every single piece of armor. He doesn't need to do that.
He doesn't need to do that.
He doesn't need to sign the orcs.
You've got another guy who you can blame it on right over there.
Yeah. And Saruman wants him to know. That's the thing. Saruman wants him to know he did it.
Well, Gandalf mentioned that, like, after Wormtongue is spoiler alert, he leaves. Gandalf is like, yeah, Saruman probably was once the friend of Rohan, but then he got corrupted over time, and then he started wearing a mask of friendship while secretly being a jackass. But then when I escaped from his clutches, that's when I kind of revealed to everyone that I tore that mask off.
Wormtongue is giving Theoden plausible advice that is incorrect. That
don't send your riders after those orcs in our land.
Don't go on the offensive. Stay on the defensive. Keep your warriors close to home to defend your walls.
Because what is best is to use your horsemen in a siege. Solid strategy. You see all those wide open plains that you have free reign over? No. Bad idea. Do not send them out there to harass those orcs. They'll probably just leave. They'll probably just leave of their own accord. They don't. There's nothing that they have that we want.
He thinks they're dead. He thinks they're all doomed, and that's why he's pissed at Gandalf. He's like, you keep promising help. You say you're this great wizard, and it's sort of the same thing Denethor gave him. Is like, well, where's the help? You keep showing
I'm
up here with like
standing right here. Okay.
you keep showing up here with like two guys, and
Hey,
I know
2.5 men.
you all have some very important swords, but
Yeah,
there's
they
like
do.
3,000 orcs coming.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna pick up my sword. I'm gonna hit one of them, and then I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna hit another one, and I spoiler alert. That is my plan for the next 2,998 orcs as well. I am just gonna keep hitting orcs until the problem is solved. Theoden, would it help if we knew that there's an entire forest of living tree people that are going to fight our battles for us?
So we found out that Eomer has been jailed for disobeying the king's orders. The
Yeah, because
king,
he was supposed to not attack those Urukai, and he went against those orders, Ben.
he was not supposed to ride out to of the plains, and he was not supposed to reinforce um, the fort of Eisen, which is where the king's son died. The fort of
Oh, I
Eisen.
thought that the reason that he was jailed is because he killed all those Urukai that were hauling around Merry and Pippin.
No, he was jailed because he was not supposed to take his riders out and engage in combat. He took those riders without permission.
That jerk.
So he disobeyed a direct order. That's why he's jailed. Again, a plausible reason. But he disobeyed it for the best reason, because those men he was trying to help were guarding the ford of the River Eisen, which is the only way for an army from Isengard to cross into Rohan in any real numbers. And so holding that ford was keeping the orcs out of Rohan. Now that it has fallen, the orc army is free to move into Rohan. Now they will actually, they've got Gondor to their east, acting as a buffer against the forces of Sauron, but they've lost their shield against Isengard. Eomer is urging deal with that, and when the king's like, no, I don't want to, he just takes the warriors and goes, and so he winds up in jail for that.
Yeah.
And this advice that Wormsong is giving Theoden, it's wearing him down. It's making him feel weak. It's robbing him of his strength. I think Theoden is in his 70s.
You know what would help him, though? If we get him a Palantir. That'll really help him out.
Yeah.
So Theoden, I guess we'll find out next book if he does draw parallels between Denethor and Theoden. Because this sounds very Denethor, except Gandalf didn't arrive to save the day, you know what I mean?
Well, I think he absolutely does, but Denethor is also, he doesn't show the humility that Theoden shows. I think part of the problem for Denethor is he actually is a very smart, very competent, very powerful ruler. And it's really hard to tell him how to do his business. And he's not super excited about Aragorn.
Oh, cool. There's a guy coming here to take my job. Great.
Yeah. And so Denethor lacks humility. And I think ultimately that's what gets him. Denethor is not able to hope because if he couldn't do it, it can't be done.
Yeah, and Boromir couldn't do it. And he was the best of us.
He was the best we had.
Did you see that man's broad shoulders, chiseled physique? He tore through 10 feet of snow like it was nothing.
Aragorn might have all the magic swords there are, but Boromir had like 4 inches on him, man. And I'm told in the world of online dating, that's a lot.
Brother.
But yeah, so this is why Theoden is looking weak, acting weak. He feels like shit. He's depressed. He feels like he's in his 70s. He does not have much left to give. How could he overcome this threat? His responsibility is to his people, to defend them as well as he can for as long as he
Gandalf
can.
is like, depression isn't real, mental health isn't real, and he's like, "You're right." And he stands up, and
Well, I think Gandalf's like, what if you didn't have a guy reinforcing your darkest thoughts constantly?
what if I used my staff to make like lightning strike?
Yeah, he can do that.
Yeah,
He's done that a couple of times. He did it with the Balrog. He might have done it on Weathertop.
he also exploded some goblins in The Hobbit. So
Yeah, I still maintain I think that was just a grenade. But
where's your reinforcements, Gandalf? I brought grenades for everyone.
so Gandalf urges Theoden to act, to reclaim his power. He's not dead yet. And the correct thing to do is to attack Saruman. And he says,
Fuck yeah.
there's some stuff, I have reasons to hope. Saruman has screwed up. He's overplayed his hand. I can't tell you exactly how bad he's screwed up. I can't reveal everything yet.
But there's a reason he is moving to attack you now instead of like marshaling his forces.
This is the only chance you're going to have. Wormtongue speaks against that to the extent he's able, but ultimately Theoden agrees. And Theoden sort of wakes up to the fact that I've got somebody here telling me I can do it. I have strength still. I'm not doomed. And then I've got this guy who I'm going to assume was earned the title Wormtongue after this event.
Yeah.
And we're just retroactively applying it to him. But yeah, it's
well, everyone called him and acknowledged him as Wormtongue except for Theoden.
I'm guessing that might be a little Frodo authorial voice.
Yeah,
he
could
could
always
not have
blame Frodo.
Because he is Grima, son of someone. Who is he?
Son of Slug Tongue? I guess Snake Tongue. And then this guy got the...
He has a normal name.
I do like it. I don't remember when exactly. I think it was around this time that Gandalf was like, look, this guy's wasting my time. Get the fuck out, Wormtongue.
They
Get
take that speech. He's Grima, son of Galmod. Or Galmod.
Oh, it was when Wormtongue comes back. So okay.
No,
So
he gives him this speech. I think they give this in the movie to some extent. The wise speak only of what they know, Grima, son of Galmod. A witless worm have you become. Therefore be silent and keep your forked tongue between your teeth. I have not passed through fire and death to bandy crooked words with a serving man till the lightning falls.
Yeah, but then later in the same chapter, when Wormtongue comes back with also with Theoden's sword, he tries to get out of like
Military service.
That point. What's that? Military service? Yes. He does not have a rich dad who can just get him
King
out of military
Theoden,
service.
my bone spurs.
Yeah, my bone spurs are acting up, and I need to get out of that. And Theoden's like, okay, well, no, he's like, don't send me away. And Theoden has decided he's going to fight, so he's like, you're going to fight alongside me.
Good,
and then
good news, Grima. I'm not sending you away. You're going to be right next to me.
He's like, wait, actually, hold on.
Have you thought about sending me away?
I have a new idea. How about, so someone has to stay here and rule in your stead as your steward, and like, who better than Wormtongue? Yeah?
Eowyn,
yeah?
You're up.
What? He has the hots for Eowyn, too.
He does, yes. That is...
And this is when Gandalf is like, okay, I'm done listening to this. You are wasting my time. I did not murder a goddamn Balrog and come back to life to waste my time having to listen to you anymore. Get
And
out.
Gandalf's message, one of my notes is that his message to Theoden is, I think, somewhat Christian. So he says, "Now, Theoden, son of Thengel, will you hearken to me? Do you ask for help?" He lifted his staff and pointed to a high window. The darkness seemed to clear. "Not all is dark. Take courage, Lord of the Mark, for better help you will not find. No counsel have I to give to those that despair, yet counsel I could give and words I could speak to you. Will you hear them?" And I think that's kind of like I help those who help themselves.
Our God is
Do
an
you do you
awesome God.
are you going to admit you need help and accept the help? And will you play the active role required of it? And that's also
will you
exactly,
attach this to your body so I can measure your thetan levels?
but that's also exactly Gandalf's purpose as well. He's like, I'm not here to save you. I'm not here to call down lightning and blow orcs off the battlefield. I'm here to teach you how to do this for yourself. And that's another Jesusism. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Like Gandalf is here to advise, to teach, to help on like a spiritual level. He's not going to fight your battles for you, but he can get you through them. He can help you
It
get
would
through
be
them.
super cool though if you could fight some of these battles for me. That would actually be great.
Gandalf will fight as any man would fight. He'll pull out a sword and he'll start hitting orcs too. But he's not going to use his angelic powers to just blow stuff away.
Can you give me angelic powers?
Literally, no. I can't.
Okay, well. So yeah, Gandalf's plan is like, all right, Theoden, take your women, children, elderly to the mountain refuges, and then you could go to Dunharrow.
Which are not in Helm's Deep.
Yeah, because that'd be stupid to put them on the front line.
That would be really stupid.
But we can't introduce a second place, Ben, and send them elsewhere. And how would we know what we were fighting for if we didn't have women, children, and the elderly on the front line?
That's my thing. That's the old Peter Jackson. I just got to shove conflicts into everything. You know how
when we invaded Normandy on D-Day, we also had boatloads of like kids and wives just offshore.
The intention was in the movies. There's deleted scenes where Éowyn fights to defend women and children from a couple of orcs that get through. And the intention, I think, was to keep cutting back to them. And I think that maybe that's why the script works out the way it does, is they wanted to up the stakes, because men dying in battle is not enough despite every war movie ever. This is kind of why I say I don't think Peter Jackson gets it. Like, there's a million World War II movies that are just about men against overwhelming odds about to die in battle. And
then the U.S. military parachutes their families in, and it's like, look what happens if you fail. The Germans are going to get them too.
Now, to be fair, there are women and children at Helm's Deep because it is an active, staffed castle.
Yeah, it's not just a disrepaired fortress in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Because in the movie, it almost seems like they're like, all right, we're going to pull all the way back to Helm's Deep. And it almost seems like Saruman can just be like, okay, I guess I won't attack there. I guess Rohan's mine now? And then, like, you're just bottled up in a mountain somewhere.
Well, and then this is what Aragorn says in the movie that doesn't make any goddamn sense. Saruman's army isn't coming for your goods or your horses or whatever. It's coming to do genocide. And no, it's not. That's not Saruman's intention at all. Saruman employs humans.
Yeah,
Lots
there's
of them.
other tribes of humans too.
Even in the movie, he employs humans. In the movie, maybe it's in one of the extended scenes, I don't know, but
You think Wormtongue would really be on board with a genocide of humans when he is a human? Dude's a coward.
Well, he sheds a tear when he realizes it's going to happen for some reason. I don't understand that either.
Did he?
Yeah, there's
I do not remember that.
No, in the movie he sheds a single tear. I've seen the movies many times.
Right, because he's thinking about that hot Eowyn that he will never get to have.
Well, he's probably thinking about how there'll never be another woman again.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Except for the hill orcs, I guess.
Yeah.
Who are there. And no, he absolutely is coming for your livestock, your fields, your stuff, your weapons, your men. He's not going to throw away slaves. Even Sauron has enslaved humans growing crops for his armies.
Yeah. Because he needs those things.
It's again like Peter Jackson utterly uninterested in this aspect of the story, and I think it's a problem when you only have like one adaptation and that becomes the narrative. Helm's Deep is not a panic room.
Do it.
Well, Helm's Deep is not a panic room that the people of Rohan retreat to in times of need. Quite the opposite. Helm's Deep is on the front line, very close to the fords of, well, relatively close to the fords of Isen. It is just off the only road that any invading army could use. And it's just off the only road that any invading army could use for the purposes of you can't walk past it. If you walk past it, I'll ride out and kill you in the middle of the night.
I will destroy your supply lines if you try to go past it. Because the way the map is laid out, you have to take Helm's Deep in order to move in further and take the capital.
Yes.
You try to move on the capital, Helm's Deep is at your back. You never want to leave a fortified enemy position at your back.
Certainly not with as much cavalry as they have.
Yeah. Yeah, and the only way you can get supplies in to continue your conquest is right in the way of Helm's Deep. That's not getting to your armies.
And Tolkien is, and again, this is the thing, Peter Jackson decided this is not important, but I disagree, and I think Tolkien vehemently disagrees, that getting the warfare stuff right is important because it matters that people make good decisions.
I've already given my opinion on this in multiple books we talked about. When it's someone who doesn't understand war writing about war, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I can really tell when.
Well, I think you ultimately
you have all your granaries in the city center, and they've thrown up walls.
Well, you ultimately get the message wrong. The message ultimately becomes war is bad, which duh, but there are reasons it keeps happening, even though everyone can basically agree that it's bad. And if you pretend those reasons don't exist, or that it's not logical, or that there's never a reason to fight a war, that's kind of like, why are you adapting Lord of the Rings? Lord of the Rings is only about how sometimes you got to fight, even if you're going to lose. That's the whole thing. And I don't know. So, obviously, in the book, Helm's Deep is a frontline fortress. They're not riding out to Helm's Deep. They're riding out to the ford of the River Isen so that they can hopefully reinforce it and stop the army from crossing. That opportunity is blown. The defenders of the ford, they were routed. They were being led by the Lord of Helm's Deep, who is Erkenbrand. And Erkenbrand is missing.
Damn.
And a lot of the warriors have been scattered orcs have spread out and are raiding and pillaging.
Oh, is this who Gandalf has to round up?
Yeah, so Eomer is obviously released from prison and put back in charge and able to start help organizing this offensive. And Theoden himself is going to go. He's going to leave the women and children behind in Edoras, and he's going to ride forward. Or
Oh,
he's
they
going
go to
ride west.
Dunharrow.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
They go to-
Eowyn is going to go to Dunharrow with them.
They go further
Dunharrow
east.
being further east in another fortified location.
So Eomer is with Theoden. He's a super important character in the books. He's basically, I would say, replaces Boromir. If not Boromir, Frodo, and Sam for this portion of the book.
Hell yeah.
He's our window into Rohan. He's a heroic figure. He fights side by side with Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas. He even has a little
to take the ring from Frodo.
He even has a little thing with Gimli where like they joke about how like Eomer insulted Galadriel and Gimli got super offended, and they keep joking about how like Gimli's going to teach Eomer manners. And like
in this chapter, he's like, "Hey, I won't say anything more offensive about her." And Gimli's like, "You know what? I'll forgive you, but if you ever look upon her face and you don't say she's the fairest, I'm gonna kick your ass." Eomer is also the heir.
He is the heir apparent now that Theoden's son is dead.
Yeah. Because Theoden does not have any more children of his own. But he has a sister son. And it was weird when he first said sister daughter to Eowyn. And I was like, oh boy. I had those in Crusader Kings, but they had the inbred trait. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they even do mention Boromir on that subject.
He does.
Theoden makes a comment about how he should have died and not Boromir. The young die while the old linger. Because Boromir would have been a much better fighter.
Yeah, did you see that dude's pythons?
So they do. I'm just trying to see if I have any notes.
Eolingus, Ben?
Eorlingas. Yes. Eorlingas. West to Theoden Hall. They're heading west. There's another theme in Beowulf going along with Theoden's choices here. So in Beowulf, there's two examples of kings in old age. There's the example of Hrothgar, the king that Beowulf comes to help. Hrothgar is the one who built Heorot, the Mead Hall. And there's a comment that they make that is a little harsh about Hrothgar. They say Beowulf's men spoke of Hrothgar admiringly, a prince who had been the pride of warriors until struck down by stern old age, that stronger warrior who strikes down everyone. Hrothgar is not dead, by the way. He's just old. And he can't literally rip the arms off of demons and swim underwater for 6 hours. He's just old. And they're like, wow, it's really hard to watch somebody go through being that useless. And man, he sure must have been something when he wasn't useless.
And that's like, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 40. Like, oh, God.
Well, that's
kind of died when you were 25 like the rest of us, you fucking loser.
There's not, for these guys who live and die by the sword, there's not a lot of honor in old age. An old king is a rare sight. And a king who can't defend his people. Like these are times where, like I said, it's basically, you're basically gangsters. You're the facade, the violence, the boasting, all of that is to make people not.
you something, brother.
It's to make people not want to fight you.
Yeah.
And the
Yet
hope
people
is,
just kept fighting Hulk Hogan.
well, if they'd actually fought him, he'd be dead. Well, because that's the thing, is like you want to intimidate people into not fighting you, because every time you fight, there's a non-zero and increasingly non-zero chance you're going to die. So when you get to old age and you can't protect your people anymore, you're just waiting for some stronger guy to come throw you down.
That's why Theoden's going to die with a sword in his hand.
Which is Beowulf's choice as well, because Beowulf is the second elderly king we see. The story ends with Beowulf going to fight the dragon, knowing there is absolutely no way in hell this 70-year-old man is going to 1v1 a literal dragon.
Not with that attitude.
Well, Beowulf, we'll talk about this if we do Beowulf, and I think we have to at this point. But he tells his warriors, like, hey, glad you walked me here. You don't have to do this. I'm going to go take care of that. And he goes in and he starts getting his ass handed to him, like, immediately. The dragon breathes fire. It flies. It's a real ass fucking dragon. Its bite is poisonous.
Jesus.
Beowulf is so unimaginably screwed. And eventually one young warrior does come and help him. And together they do manage to kill the dragon, though Beowulf dies in the process. And that is the honorable thing to do, despite the fact that Beowulf also doesn't leave an heir, and his people...
God, I'm starting to realize the strategy of our last several U.S. presidents, Ben.
What?
We're getting up there in years. The honorable thing to do is to start wars, and I mean, when I go, the rest of the world is over, so I might as well go out in a blaze of nuclear glory. Let's do this.
Well, in a lot of ways, when Beowulf died, he's a Geat.
He's a geek?
A Geat. Geat.
Okay.
Those are his people. They are some.
Well, you guys don't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. They are some kind of Swedish, and they.
I just think of the Swedish chef. That's your culture now, Beowulf.
Well, and it is very apparent that they don't exist, because the end of Beowulf foresees that the Geats are going to be overtaken by rival kingdoms now that Beowulf is gone. The strength of Beowulf's reputation is all that really kept them going.
Yeah, well,
and
that suck, man.
But the moral of the story was that Beowulf did the right thing, because the day you can't fight to defend your kingdom is the day you lose it. And Theoden is exhibiting for this culture the virtues of kingship. He is in his 70s and he is probably going to die on this campaign. And he does. Spoilers. But that is the right thing to do. Though, again, I say Tolkien maybe does a little bit of Beowulf fan fiction here, because the people of Rohan are not overtaken by the hill tribes. They find another king in Eomer, and everything winds up working out.
And then he has another king named Aragorn, who is king of kings, and
he's just warming. He's warming the chair for Jesus, but yeah,
it all checks out.
I do have a note on Theoden's sword. I believe it's Herugrim. Herugrim is Old English Anglo-Saxon. It's a combination of, I think, Heru and Grim, which is fierce or savage sword. I looked up all the Old English I could identify. Yeah, and again, I think we touched on that Worm Tongue is not expelled because he was a traitor. He's expelled. They can't prove he's a traitor. He's expelled because he refuses to ride to war, which again is in this society an inexcusable offense.
Yeah.
Cowardice.
Yeah, can you imagine? I can't imagine.
if someone with bone spurs refused to go to war and insisted they should be put in charge despite that. You're going to need a man of letters here. Somebody indoorsy who can sort of keep an eye on things for you. Yeah, I'm trying to save. I don't want to do all the Beowulf comparisons right now because it continues. But I definitely think the culture of Rohan super inspired by Beowulf, the values being shown, the old king going to fight, the cowardice of Wormtongue and refusing to even ride to battle. And it's interesting. I guess Wormtongue thinks they're going to lose because he rides with a company of orcs to go see Saruman. And I do love like the very manly thing of like Theoden's like, I'm going to let him go. But if I ever see him again, I'm going to fucking kill him.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot of the phrase if I see him again, it will go ill for him. But yeah, I think that's all the time we can spare on this. I really don't want to turn it into a two-parter because Helm's Deep is next. And I think you're going to enjoy. Have you read Helm's Deep yet?
Nope, I'm going to do that tomorrow.
I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you might finally have a war book that makes sense.
All right, but if they don't talk about how, we don't open fire on the orcs because no one told us to yet.
You will be very happy to know they shoot literally every arrow they have.
Goddamn right. That's what you're supposed to do.
Legolas is just like scrounging around bodies trying to get more arrows. And then he has to use his knife, but we don't see it. Far from Legolas surfing down and like stabbing people with arrows and stuff. We don't see a lot of Legolas actually in that. He does most of his knife work off screen. And of course there are no other elves. So
yeah, that's kind of important actually for there to not be elves in this Age of Man story.
It's the Age of Man. You're coming into your own.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door which began. Now far ahead the road is gone, and I must follow it, if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet. And whither then, I cannot say.